Welcome to the RPG Podcast.
And we are live.
Oh, God, Patton!
Presented by SHEATH. A Time Wheel production.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Robert Patton Global Podcast. Thank you for coming back. And thank you to my guest here, Aaron Marino, Alpha M.
Robert, thank you for having me. No, I'm so pumped to talk to you. It's been a while, man. Last time I saw you was when was that? It was the last official Menfluential conference right before the world went crazy. Remember? It was nuts. That was like, we literally dodged that bullet for having that conference. For those of you listening, we my business partner Antonio Centeno, who Robert you're good friends with as well. We used to put on this conference in Atlanta every year, and we'd have a bunch of people come and hang out, and it was just a great like business sort of just like mentorship sort of experience and opportunity. And I think that's really, for me, being around successful people, being around other people that kind of have the same sort of mindset and goals, it's like nothing else. Like there's so much energy and just inspiration you can gain from other people. Anyway, all that to say, last year, or I guess it was 2020.
Yeah, it was last year, February, right? March.
Yeah. And it was, COVID was just starting. You were starting to hear about it. And I remember we were shopping for the event at like Costco, and they're like, hey, do you think we should get some hand sanitizer and just put them out on the table? And we're like, yeah, why not? So we got like a case of hand sanitizer. Well, interestingly enough, we left it there. We're like, it's hand sanitizer. A week later, you couldn't find any hand sanitizer anywhere. I'm like, man, we totally missed out. But yeah, it literally was kind of like the last week, or maybe it was 1 week after that, where everything started to just go crazy and things started to shut down. And so, it's the last time I saw you, Robert, in person.
Well, and that's when we really like officially started working together. I know I was going around and talking to the Anson Belt guy and just a couple of other vendors that you work with, the other promoters that work with, the Alpha M page, and you have a really big page, right? And we never worked with someone with such a big following, and people don't need to know the nitty gritty details behind the magic of it all. But I was like, does it work? I was like, and people, they were saying, yeah, he's the man. And so when we gave it a shot in June of last year, it was, you really helped shaped last year's growth tremendously, and you are a huge influence on our business's growth over the past 12 months, and we really appreciate you. Just on a side note, I wanted to thank you.
No, absolutely. That. And I love, and you've been a huge supporter of what we've been doing for a long time. And I just love your story is inspirational. And, and here's the thing. I mean, it's about connecting and being around people that you just like and that you resonate with. I mean, life's too short to be around assholes. And there's nothing like helping, people that are good people and really just wanting them to succeed. And so, anything that we can do, man, you're doing something special. And so that's something that I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of. And I love everything about your company, your product, and what you're all about, man. You're a good dude, Robert. You're a good dude.
Oh, you're too kind. You are a good dude. I think we started around the same time, although I see 2006-ish, you started consulting people on style.
Just because my other business before that failed so bad, and I was driving a beer cart and to put gas in my car. Yeah, so I need to figure out another way to make some money that didn't require any inventory or basically startup capital. And so I started helping guys just dress better. And my story is kind of weird. It took a hard left turn in 2006 when I filed bankruptcy. But yeah, it was 2006. And up until that point, the only thing I ever wanted from the age of 12 years old was to own a fitness center. And so, I came from my stepfather at the time. I had a few stepfathers. One was kind of abusive. And so at 12 years old, I kind of lost my confidence and my my voice. I ended up, when you're a little kid, man, when you're around, it's amazing how things shape you, right? Like you don't even realize it, but looking back in hindsight, after therapy, for me, it was just something where, I had this abusive stepfather, and it taught me to kind of keep my mouth shut and just like keep everything repressed and in. And as a result, I lost my ability to sort of stand up for myself. And so when I was 12 years old, I saw the movie Rocky and Rocky IV, when the Russian, fought Rocky, and I saw those bodies, and I was like, dude, I'm like, if a body can look like that, that's what I wanted. And so for Christmas that year, I had my mom, she's like, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, a gym membership. And so 12 years old, I go to the gym. I felt amazing. And it was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. If I feel this good here, even though at home I was having, a tough time, I felt like amazing when I went to the gym, and my confidence, skyrocketed there. And so I knew from 12 years old, I wanted to own a fitness center. Fast forward, few years, I went to college, got a degree in business management, got out, moved to Atlanta, and started working as a personal trainer at a health club. Met a guy, we opened a nutrition store, then 3 nutrition stores, and then he wanted to sell illegal stuff. And I realized at that point that if we got caught, I would be popular in prison. I wouldn't thrive in prison now. And so I ended up leaving, met a woman that I actually at the nutrition store, I met a woman, Linda, and helped her lose 100 pounds. And she was like, hey, I want to help other people. Would you be interested in starting a personal training studio with me? And that was all, that was it. Amazing. And, unfortunately, no matter how much you want something, no matter how much you try, sometimes it's just not in the cards. And we signed the lease to our fitness center on September 11th, as in the September 11th.
Whoa. And
that was an omen as to how that business was going to unfold. in a fiery, rubble. And that's kind of what happened. We tried to expand. We had investors. There was a lot of legal issues. And I ended up, at the time, 2006, I had about $500,000 of debt that I was personally, responsible for because of, equipment leases and business leases and small business loans. And, I was literally taking money off of my credit cards to pay my staff at the time. And I ended up having to drive a beer cart at a country club because that's the only job that I could do on weekends and make tips, because nobody would hire me to be like a bartender or server because I had never done that. And so shut everything down in 2006. And the worst part about it wasn't about being broke. I grew up broke, right? Like we were on welfare and government assistance and food stamps. I remember, just to give a sort of a perspective, I remember being like 13 years old and wanting to go get a piece of pizza and asking my mom, said, hey, do you have $1.25 that I could have and go with Nikki to go get a piece of pizza? And she said, no, we don't have an literally. And when I think about that today, I think about $1.25. If like you've got $1.25 underneath your seat in your car, like to think about like $1.25, we didn't have an extra $1.25. And so anyway, so broke was not something that I was unfamiliar with. And, but the hardest part about that point in my life is that I'm driving a beer cart, but I didn't know what success looked like anymore, because at that point everything was taken away from me. Like the only thing that I ever wanted in my life was a fitness center from the age of 12 years old, and I had it. And then when that goes away, it's like, well, what now? I didn't have a plan B. I didn't know what to do next. It was like, fuck, like what what do I do? And so that's kind of where everything kind of took a little bit of a left turn, and things just changed for me.
But so you had that entrepreneurial spirit, that whole, like you kept trying, you didn't like just give up. You did file bankruptcy, I guess, because 500,000 is a hard hole to climb out of. And that option was there for a reason. I think they changed the bankruptcy laws, so you can't really file that easily anymore. So hopefully you got in before they changed. I think it was right around that time that I actually filed bankruptcy. I was I didn't finish college. I'd used up all my college funds from my grandparents or whatever, which was only like 10 grand. And I was at a dead end job in payroll, making $12 an hour. And I had like debt up to my ears with no hope of buying a house, because I was living in California, and California houses were $500,000 back then, making $12 an hour just wasn't going to happen. Ultimately, that's when I joined the Army. It was like 2006. Both of our lives changed dramatically that year. And it was 2 years later in 2008, when I was on my second tour, that I had the idea for SHEATH. And then 2 years later we launched, which was a total bust. And 3 years later we relaunched, and that's when we started kind of seeing some success. But it was that never giving up type of an attitude. And you obviously had the type of work ethic that, you just wouldn't quit. And I like that attitude, that persistence. I try to tell people, like, if you don't quit, eventually you'll find your path. And, but once you quit, it's kind of over. Obviously.
Yeah. And that's one thing I just like people listening. The one thing people like, well, what advice do you have? Well, my advice to most people is, success doesn't always look like what you hope it will or expect it to. And you just got to keep your eyes open, because no matter how much you want something, sometimes it just isn't going to happen. And I think that, it's hard to come to that conclusion and realize.
Well, I wanted to be in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted, when you wanted to be a professional bodybuilder, or open a gym, I wanted to be in the NBA. And I worked so hard for just to be average. I had to work like twice as hard as everyone else, because I had no real physical gifts.
Yeah.
I'm healthy, and I had a strong will, and that got me far. But I ended up like hurting myself. So because I was trying so hard, and every time I got injured, I would try to come back too soon. And because I wanted it so bad. But that just to corroborate what you were saying, it's just like, no matter how bad you want some things, it's just not in the cards.
Exactly. And you've got to just be aware that sometimes you just got to keep your eyes open, and opportunities may present themselves that don't look at like opportunities at the time. But if you just, continue to pull that thread, oh, wait a second, maybe this is working a little bit, or maybe I kind of dig this, and this is a little bit, more fun than I thought. No, it's amazing, what sort of the universe has in store for you if you just keep your eye open and just keep working and don't give up.
Well, okay, so this is a weird connection as well. I think one of your first YouTube videos was in 2010. I think right around there. And that was when we launched SHEATH, like officially, even though it was a bust and it took 3 more years of tinkering to relaunch. But that, so you launched your YouTube channel 11 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
And like, how did that happen, and why? And tell me about how it went from nothing to this huge success that it is today, and how
13 years. Yeah. So at the time I was doing the image consulting and trying to help guys dress. This was back in 2008. And my wife gave me a video camera for Christmas in 2007. And, I'm not a tech savvy guy. I thought she was giving it to me because she wanted to like film ourselves getting freaky. It was not the case. Yeah, it wasn't the case. She did not. And so I'm like, oh, shit, I got a big mouth and a video camera. What do I do? And so I had been on YouTube at that point only like probably 1 or 2 times prior to that. And I'm like, well, like maybe there's other people that just want, basic advice on style. And because, at the time there was, GQ magazine and Esquire, and I am, I am not the most stylish person, but, I know more about style and clothing than I happen to know about football, kind of thing. And so it's like, well, let me just see if there's a market for this. And so I started posting a few videos in 2008, and it was my first video. I remember there was a comment from a guy who's like, hey, I'm a big guy. What should I wear to look better? And it was like, that was it. That was the moment where it's like, this is amazing. I was validated I felt like for the first time, like people actually wanted to know what I had to say. And there was this audience, and that was kind of what hooked me. And so that's kind of where it all started. From there, it was just off to the races. And there's been a lot of like iterations of me doing content. I mean, like I said, I didn't always have like the healthiest relationship with myself in terms of the first, I would say 2 years I did YouTube videos, I would be drunk every single video because like my routine was on Friday, I'd get like a 6-pack of beer. I'd go up into my room and I'd film my video. And so I would, you know, because I would get a little bit nervous and like you couldn't see it. But in some of my videos, like they're like my earlier videos when I'm in this bedroom, there's a credenza sitting right next to me. And there's like 6-pack of beer sitting there. And in between each take, I'd, you know, get a drink. And by the end of it, my wife would get home from work and I'd be passed out on the couch. And so not exactly healthy and not exactly productive. And so so it's changed a lot over the years, but yeah, it's been just a grind. Nothing came fast, nothing was easy. And that's kind of the takeaway, I guess, for life. You know, anything great that you ever expect to accomplish is going to take a hell of a lot of work, and it's going to be harder and take longer than you think it will. At least it did for me.
Well, and like as you started getting more and more comments and you're responding to them, you're getting that feedback, and the channel starts growing, it kind of becomes an animal of its own, and you're like a slave to it. Well, now you got to make these videos, and so now people think, like I own SHEATH or whatever, but I work for SHEATH. I'm an employee of SHEATH, and I do own it. I get, but it's the boss, the customers, the consumers are the boss, and I'm here to just keep things running smooth. It's like a baby. I want to make sure it keeps growing and gets everything it needs, but it takes work.
Absolutely. Everything does. Everything does.
And but you're also doing other ventures, like with the Tej Hanley, which I just put on.
Nice. I know. I was going to say, Robert, your skin looks buttery smooth and sexy.
Thank you. It's funny because I never did that. I never did any, skincare until around 2015, which is when I got Tej Hanley. And I think I just saw you promoting it or something, and I bought it. And I don't know, as a business owner, I was like, I bet they'll like if I do this. So I took a picture of myself before, and then I took a picture of myself after, and it was a huge difference. Like I looked like shit, and then I looked great. Yeah.
Skincare is amazing. Skincare is one of those things where, if you don't do anything to your face, and I think that a lot of guys don't talk about stuff like that because it's not like something I go up to my buddies and I'm like, hey, so your skin looks great. What are you using? Right? It's not like that. And so, and that's one of the realities. But yeah, I mean, when you start doing basic things like washing your face and using a moisturizer, I mean, you look better, and it doesn't take, weeks or months to really notice it. You look better almost immediately. And then, for me, I want to look, I want to age gracefully, but I want to not, I don't want to look older than I need to. And I definitely still want to, look handsome. And, I feel like I owe it to my wife to continue to, try to be attractive and just like I expect her to take care of herself. I expect me to take care of myself as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that a lot of guys will get a little bit weird, like, oh, it's vain. Whatever. We do a lot of things in the name of vanity, but wanting to look good, there's nothing wrong with handsome, Robert.
Look good, feel good. And then, I want her to be attracted to me. I want to stay attracted to her. And I want to, I want to look good for my wife, and I try to stay fit, and I need to dress a little better. I got my Lululemon pants. I love those. Yeah. And I got my Anson belt. Yep. And I wear my sneakers, and then it's just like a hoodie and a SHEATH shirt usually. That's it. That's all. That's perfection, man. Don't change a thing. No, I like the suits. I went to a fancy kind of suit store called Rutledge's. Actually, it's the only store that carries SHEATH here in our local town, Colorado Springs, and it's a really fancy higher end suit. They'll make customized suits and stuff. And the guy, he always looks so sharp. The guy that sells the suits, and you do too. Whenever you're on, when you dress up and stuff, it's like I looked a little bit like it's unfitted, it's like too baggy and stuff.
Yeah.
I need to clean it up, because I like Conor McGregor is a good example of someone who like looks sharp. You want to look sharp. This podcast is brought to you by ohanakavabar.com. Now, Ohana means family, but what is kava? Kava is a root from the South Pacific. It makes you calm and happy. Just go to ohanakavabar.com. Choose your favorite brew. They have many to choose from, with more on the way. And I personally like the tincture. It tastes good. It gets you quick, and you're calm and relaxed in a moment. It cools and calms the nerves, and I think you'll like it. Let them know we sent you. Support this podcast by supporting our sponsors and support this company. So go to ohanakavabar.com. Use promo code SHEATH. You're going to love it. Doesn't taste that great, but chase it with a nice pineapple. You will not be disappointed. Trust me on that. ohanakavabar.com. Ohana's family. Use promo code SHEATH. You're welcome. Last but not least, sheathunderwear.com. The greatest underwear on the planet. The underwear of legends. The underwear that keeps your balls from sticking to your legs. That's right. This is the best underwear because it keeps your boys cool. Check out sheathunderwear.com. Back to the show.
No, Connor brought. And that's his thing, right? He is not ashamed to. I mean, he gets dressed up, to go ride the exercise bike to rehab his knee or his leg, right? I mean, he definitely brings it to the next level, and it's a degree of respect and just like a little bit intimidation. Like it's a good look, and it's definitely. You have more opportunities when you take care of yourself and present a package that people, respect a little bit more. Absolutely. As a representative, if you're an athlete, if you're an influencer, you want to represent these companies that you're being sponsored by well and look good. And do you watch the UFC? Yeah, I used to watch it all the time religiously. And then, I guess in the past, I used to watch like all the Ultimate Fighter like shows, like I used to get really into it. And then, and I think the reason why I'm so into it and love it so much is that like I've never been in a fight ever. And and so like I like the idea of doing, I was a wrestler, but I never like have been in like a brawl. And
that's hardcore though. Wrestling's hard. If you can endure, I quit high school wrestling after 2 days, and I'm kind of ashamed, but it was so hard. That shit was the hardest sport in high school.
Absolutely. So no, there's just something so amazing about the sport, and it's just pure, in terms of, two guys just kind of like wrestling, there's no bullshit. You go in there and the best man loses or the best man wins.
Two bulls, it's like mano a mano to the fullest, and the work ethic I think can't help but translate outside of wrestling. Once you move on to whatever it is that you're going to do, you're going to carry that work ethic along with you. And
and the UFC is amazing. I mean, all those guys. I haven't kept up with it as much in the past few years, but now I'm still familiar and definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a guy named Brandon Marino, the flyweight champion, 125. His name is Brandon Marino.
We're probably related. All us Dagos are related.
Exactly. So I wanted a little connection there, and he's a badass. It's pretty cool and we have a champion, like Sheath. That is, we sponsor a champion, and that's what I had been wanting for.
Let
quite
me ask
some
you
time.
something. How does it work in terms of, because this is kind of, about business, your podcast, like, how does it work? Like, have you seen, it's harder to connect the dots in terms of advertising spend and sponsorship with, like a NASCAR spot. Like if you threw a logo on like a NASCAR, it's like, well, how do you like brand awareness? Like there's got to be a dollar amount that you can place on it, but without the ability to really, track, how do you value sort of the ad spend or the sponsorship spend, because that's essentially what you're doing, sponsoring an athlete, right? And so how do you even?
It's hard to quantify those things, like you said, like with you and with other YouTubers or whoever. We have a code, and you can track the code, and you can put it against what you spent. Whereas with these guys, sometimes they'll use a code and it comes back. You'll get like a very small percentage coming back in, and it really is. It's almost like a luxury to sponsor a NASCAR or Formula One or athletes like this, because you don't know. And when times are bad, those are the first ones to go.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, we don't know what you're really doing, if you're doing anything. But I can tell. I know Marino's doing good, because we started with him when he was at 300,000 followers on Instagram, and now he's over 1 million. I mean, and it went up really fast when he won the belt. So that was fortunate on our part. We sponsored Cowboy Cerrone, who, he was at a relatively lower follower rate, and then when he fought Connor, his followers just got doubled, like to 2.5 million or whatever, and that really added value. And so him in particular, Cowboy, opened up a lot of doors. Just like when people hear we work with you, they're like, oh, okay, well, fuck, if they're working with him, then they must be good. And so Cowboy opened up so many more doors to other athletes for credibility. Yeah. And so there's some value. It's just the dollar for dollar quantification is hard. That's a word. It's hard to
good enough. I make shit up too.
It is a thing, and with shipping. So talking about business and people out there, whatever, you're going to start seeing some delays in products because there's 100 Freightliners off the coast of Los Angeles waiting to unload their freight, and there's not enough trucks, because of all of the COVID stuff. And so we don't have that much product. Like, we're running on fumes product wise. We're air freighting stuff now. Yep. And
that costs a lot of money, which interferes with your margin. Like, I get it, man. That's something that all of my businesses are dealing with. I'll give you an example. Like, I sell sunglasses, right? And so they're made over in China. Well, okay, that's great. No big deal. Normally, to get, say 1,000 sunglasses, shipped over here within a week, might be $2,000. So you're adding like $2 in terms of shipping costs. Well, for that same 1,000, it's $8,000 now. And so it's like the shipping costs have just exploded. The delays and the times in terms of, we're having trouble now just getting like packaging. I mean, you can't imagine. And then a lot of these shippers like the DHLs and these, they're so overwhelmed that, you think that you get pissed off at the companies like, hey, it's delayed. It's not our fault. We shipped your package out. It's just, everything is slow and it's everything.
Like bottlenecking.
Yeah. And it's expensive now. And so, it's, I just got an email yesterday. We were like, hey, can we order some more body wash? Sure. It's going up, 7%. I'm like, fuck, why? They're like, we can't, our costs are going up, so your costs are going up. And so it's a very tricky time right now to operate an e-commerce business. Just with the shipping, the COVID, there are definitely some ramifications that we're all facing. It sounds like you're facing them pretty good yourself there, Robert.
And my only saving grace is we started 10 years ago, and we got through the hard times of building the brand and having loyal customers and a reputation. And so if we're a little bit behind, our customers are going to maybe wait for us. So if a new company wanted to start a brand now, the barrier to entry is going to be so much higher with those shipping costs. Like, we got away for years with reasonable shipping prices, and now it's going to, 400 times increase is what we're seeing for freight and air freight and shipping. And then even costs of materials and packaging, it's all going up. And so, and then people aren't working, so stuff stopped moving. It's like a perfect storm of shit show but I'm hoping that by the end of the year, I heard, I watched the news on, I was checking like articles on like dock workers in LA, like what's going on. And essentially by 2022, we should be like through this bottlenecking and kind of get things back smooth flowing again, I hope.
Yeah, through the holidays. That's always a maybe.
I know. And we have 40,000 units sitting in one of those 100 Freightliners off the coast of LA right now. And I'm hoping, as long as we get it before Christmas, we'll be good. And in a selfish sort of a way, I was sort of hoping our competitors don't get theirs until next year.
It's all right. You don't have to. This is war. Business is war. Here's a crazy story. So I ordered here. I got them right here. So I decided that I was going with Pete and Paige and my grooming company. I was going to make butt wipes, right? I'm like, yeah, sure, right, great. Pete and Paige,
conditioner and shampoo,
hair products.
Yeah.
We do, a bunch of grooming products and stuff. So anyway, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna sell butt wipes, and so I have them made. They're being shipped over. We're like, we're not air freighting them. We're gonna send it, the long way.
Yep.
We find out a big tsunami hits the tanker ship, knocks like a ton of these shipping containers off into the ocean. I'm like, wait a second, that happens? And they're like, yeah, this happens like more than you realize. So we're like, oh, crap. We don't have our product. Then about 6 months later, they're like, oh, we found your container and here's your package. I'm like, what? And so now I just got these like the other day. They've got a 2-year expiration. I've lost a year of expiration on this product, which is a bad product. Here's another reason why this is a bad product that you got to think through it, gentlemen. I didn't realize how heavy butt wipes are, right? You think it's, it can't be that. It's like shipping a wet roll of toilet paper to everybody. It's heavy. And what can you charge for these? This is a huge loser that I'm just trying to get rid of before I have like 10,000 units. And I'm just like, here, take them, like 2 for 1, 3 for 1 special. But anytime you add 3 of them, then your shipping cost goes like, so big lesson learned on that one.
Well, I just watched the Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley fight. Did you watch that?
No, Jake won, right?
Barely.
I didn't really realize. I saw like them standing. I didn't realize how much bigger Jake was than Tyrone, right?
Tyron Woodley. He's a big dude. Jake is a big dude. And I predicted, I have it on video, that he was going to win, but I'm like super into it. I got my Venom hoodie and shit, but the reason I brought it up is because Tyron, his biggest sponsor was Dude Wipes.
No, really?
Yeah, and so maybe it's not such a bad move.
No,
maybe you got him in time.
I think it's a huge loser. I gotta get rid of him.
But maybe with some momentum, with any kind of publicity that you can capitalize on with the new, just like target Dude Wipes buyers, obviously.
Yeah.
You know how to work.
Hey, buy a pair of SHEATH underwear. Get a pack of Pete and Paige butt wipes.
We'll do a combo.
You don't want that because the shipping cost is too high. But yeah, no. So
what's sweet about SHEATH is they are so light and they fit like right in those little packages, and it's literally. And it was by accident. I didn't like plan all this out, but I was like, this is like the perfect product to move because it doesn't expire. It's, like something that nobody had really gotten into as far as like luxury besides like Versace. And now we have quite a few competitors, and, a shirt can be $50-$60, no problem. Go buy a shirt. But underwear had to be like $3 for some reason. But no, underwear's $40 now, $50 sometimes. So, and that is just, it's like these little golden nuggets I have. Every pair is.
Yeah, and the thing is, like women, they spend a ton of money on like lingerie and wanting to feel good and look good. And that's the thing about SHEATH, right? And I always joke about it, but it's true. Like you put them on and you look gigantic. They make you look huge because they separate everything, right? The old modeling trick, lift and tuck and all that. And
it's just a little push forward, just a tiny. It's because like normally they might go in between your legs, which is what SHEATH obviously tries to prevent. But that little nudge forward gives that little pronounced effect.
Absolutely.
And the ladies seem to like that. And I like it. It's good for photography, and it just shows like a little bulge. People like a little bulge.
Yep, absolutely. And so, yeah, no, that's women spend, like I said, a lot of money on lingerie and feeling and looking good. And I think guys are starting to get it. Like, okay, you know what? There is a huge difference in wearing a pair of like tighty whities or even like cotton boxer briefs versus something that has a nicer, fabric that is more like fitting to the body. It's just a different experience. You feel better, you look better, and it just feels good. Like when you put them on, like there's that moment when you put on a nice pair of, underwear where it's like, oh, it just feels better.
It's so nice. I remember, that reminds me of when we did a Kickstarter in 2013 and it was successful and it was great. And we reordered from China, and the first shipment they sent us was perfect and everybody was happy. We gave everybody their product. We sold out and we ordered more. And then that reorder, for whatever reason, this company decided to just fuck us over and send us botched product that we couldn't sell. And so we had to do another Kickstarter and find another manufacturer. And in that meantime, like I didn't give up though. It was like this weird thing. And I tell people like, I didn't hesitate. It was like, I'm not going to quit. It's like, there was never that thought in my mind. It's like, okay, now we just have to figure out the next move. And like, lo and behold, this manufacturer comes out of the sky and like asks to make our product for us. And so I sent them the product, and what they had sent back, they had improved it and made it better.
Yeah.
And that feeling you were talking about when you put on this nice, good, fresh, clean pair of underwear, I would put it on in any like moments of anxiety about the future. I would go to the closet and put that pair on, and it was just the one pair of the sample I had. And it felt so good. And I would like a warm rush of relief would wash over me. And it would just reassure me that everything's going to be fine. You're going to work out. And, and ultimately, so far, so good. 10 years later, roughly.
Absolutely.
We've been killing it. And you guys were a huge part of that growth way back in 2015. We came across Minfluential and
Antonio.
And Terry,
Yeah.
So, and then we started with Antonio, and he Real Men, Real Style. It's unfortunate that the name Real Men, Real Style, Real Men is like offensive.
So is Alpha M.
Oh,
well, that's yeah, man. Everybody's canceling everybody. And that's I like the whole like alpha male, like that's like I didn't realize, like when I was starting my channel, right? When I started my image consulting business, it was Alpha M Image Consulting. And so I just wanted a name that kind of like resonated, like, hey, this is about, this is for like men, Alpha M instead of male, like whatever. Now, everybody, this whole like alpha, it's just like, oh God, everybody. See, I never even
toxic.
Exactly. I never even connected the Real Men, Real Style. I never even thought about it like that. Or maybe you're canceling Antonio yourself.
Yeah, I just put it out there. But no, I think you guys are getting somewhat shadow banned to an extent because you have 6 million followers, and then when you see other people getting more views with less followers, and then you have more followers with less views, there's like, that's a little bit.
100%. I think that in the past few years, YouTube has like, even like there are a lot of YouTubers that I used to follow, that I still follow, that used to like 2 years ago get crazy views, and they're a little bit more like controversial a little bit, and now they're not getting. I think YouTube has definitely succumb to the PC police a little bit, and is definitely they are definitely aware of who is on their platform and who is not.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
It is a little crazy. I just started a Rumble account, and a lot of people are starting Rumble accounts, and I don't know if you have or are thinking about anything with regards to other platforms, but you never know, what's going to happen. And the way Rogan left for the most part. He does his clips on YouTube, and I love YouTube personally. Love you, YouTube. But,
I love YouTube too.
I know I do, and the vacuum that was created when Rogan left. It should allow for a lot more views for the rest of us. I feel, but he left for a reason, and it's because of the censorship or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's possible that another rivaling kind of platform could come up, and I'm seeing Rumble. There's a lot of sizzling over there, so just keep an eye out on that one.
All right, I'm gonna keep it out. I'm gonna go check it out after this podcast.
Yeah, it's the next like YouTube / Instagram combined. It's pretty good, and you got to Gary V. He's always talking. Do you follow him?
Yep.
I mean, or at least in the past, I used to watch him, but if you watch him enough, you get the gist. Hustle.
Yeah, exactly. Gary V makes me feel bad about myself. I've gotten to where I'm like, I can't get I'm still subscribed to him, but I mean, I just it's just so much all the time. And then the NFT thing that he really the V Friends, not that I have a problem with it. I just feel like he started that, and now he's got to keep it going because he convinced people to buy them, and so it's this weird thing, and I'm just it just doesn't I just don't get it. And maybe and I've tried to educate myself about NFTs and stuff like that, but I just feel like he went hard on it, and I think that he now is still hard on it, and I just think it's weird. And
he overcommitted on that.
I feel like he overcommitted to it, and now he's got to perpetuate it because he sold people on it really hard. And so I don't know, and I probably missed a lot of conversations that he's done about it, and I'm probably 100% wrong, but I just think it's weird, all these animals and stuff that he's throwing on all his stuff now. I'm just dude, it's gotten a little bit cheesy.
Yeah, I remember when he was talking about it. I follow him sometimes, and this one came up on my feed, and it was something big's gonna happen, and Ethereum's gonna go up real high, and so just watch out. On May 5th, we're gonna launch this thing, and it's gonna do big. But I haven't seen anything since then, and I didn't know he was launching NFT animal series.
Yeah, they're his. So it's all these NFTs that he had people draw, and then he was selling them, and I'm like,
I don't get the NFT thing yet. I mean, but some people I'm working with are doing them, this Jody High Roller. His name is Riff Raff. He's a rapper. He's really pretty cool actually, but he's doing NFTs, and it's okay, if you can sell something for $15,000 that is just an image of you dancing, then why not?
I guess if people are willing to buy it, go ahead. Right?
I'm I just bought a real art piece from a physical painting, $1,500. I'm pretty it's the biggest art piece I've ever bought, and it was from somebody that we've worked with for a while, and I was he was coming on hard times, and he was trying to sell a painting. I was I'll buy it, but I can't really imagine buying something that's going to be. I have to pull it up to show my friends from my phone, or I don't know how.
The NFTs thing, I'm not crypto, but it took me a while to understand cryptocurrency.
I don't understand it.
I still don't understand it 100%.
Yeah, but I'm definitely dabbling. I'm definitely dabbling with the cryptos, because with inflation, and the printing of money, it's okay, what's working? And I'm pretty heavy. I'm pretty heavy in crypto, and I didn't put in that much, but now it's gone up a little bit since it had gone back down. It went back up, and I'm pretty happy with some of the selections.
You're making it crypto rain, Robert.
A little bit. And it's sweet because of the sales with SHEATH having gone down 50% for the time being, and then I look at my personal thing, I'm well, okay, my personal thing is actually doing pretty good, and SHEATH is doing fine. The only thing we're waiting on is more inventory, and we just got notice that one of our air freight boxes landed, and so it's 5,000 pairs, and that'll hold us over for a week or whatever.
Great. Good.
Yeah, and so hopefully you get some some good news, and you can move those wipes.
I'm moving them. I'm giving them away. That's what all my friends are getting for Christmas. I'll get rid of these things.
That's hilarious. And we were gonna do a soap. We started doing like a soap line, but it didn't kind of materialize. So it's kind of waiting in the wings. But I imagine you're constantly getting proposed new like deals to work with companies that you just kind of lend your name to. Is that how?
Not so much. It for me. Well, Terry fields a lot of the questions and inquiries. For me, it's about just really being a little bit more disciplined with what I actually do, because I have a tendency to want to try a lot of stuff, and I think that's one of the things that ends up hurting me in the end, because, even you can't chase every dollar, right? And I think if you try to do that, you're going to, it's just not.
You're gonna go crazy.
It's not sustainable. And so for me, it's about, really just doubling down and focusing more attention and time on the things that are working, and not try to bite off too many things. Like I started a sunglass company that it's taken more time and energy, and is harder than I realized it was going to be in terms of bandwidth. And so it's still a work in progress in terms of trying to figure out that business. And with skincare and grooming products, we don't get many returns or exchanges, right? Well, apparel and sunglasses and accessories is a different thing. And so trying to, balance, how that all works. And it's, with returns, that's yes, your products are light and easy to ship, but you get returns. And so
fortunately, just to point out, we get very few returns. Like,
really?
We're so lucky. Yeah. It's like 1%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I know I've heard some weird statistic, like companies have like a 30% return, and I'm like, whoa, that would be a nightmare if we had that.
Yeah, we don't have a 30% return, but with sunglasses, I guess sunglasses are different than underwear. Like you're small, mediums, whatever. So sunglasses, most people buy them in a store, and so you go in, you try them on, these don't really look right. Well, when it's an e-commerce sunglass company, they get them, they try them, like, I don't really like it, and you send it back. And so it's like, well, how do you, at first I was offering free shipping, free returns, free this, fuck that. Like, I was losing my ass. And so I had to change the way that I do returns. My return policy has had to be modified a bit, but yeah, the shipping e-commerce business, it's challenging.
That was, well, and I love this conversation. I'm glad. I didn't know how involved you were with all of that. With returns, with shipping, I remember we were working with this guy, and he was like, dude, you got to do free shipping, because if you do free shipping, your sales are going to go way up, and everybody wants free shipping. Love you all. Sorry, you have to pay for shipping. Somebody's got to pay for the shipping. And if I pay for it, like, then now we just raise the price of the product. So it's either way, it's going to be a wash. Because we did try what he said for like a week, and it didn't do anything. I was like, they don't give a fuck.
No,
they're gonna pay.
That's it. And that is, and the reason why a lot of people say that is because of Amazon, right? It's that we live in a prime age. And so on one of my companies, the Pete and Pedro, you've got to hit $60. Hey, you hit $60, we'll give you free shipping domestically. Exactly. But it's, if not, it's $5. It's a flat $5.
That's reasonable. And then it puts them on the spot. Or like, if you had to go to the mall, you're gonna have to drive and get in your car and like pay for gas. So nothing's free.
No, and with Amazon, I'm one of the few. I feel like I'm one of the few people that actually charges for shipping on Amazon. I'm like, screw Prime. I'm like, what? I'm not in business to make no money. Like, it's I'm a capitalist. I want to sell products, Amen. But I want to make money. That's the reason why I risk, what I do in order to, generate, revenue. And if I can generate a profit, that means that I can invest that profit into doing other things and adding new products. And so it's
hiring new people. Yep. And giving back. We give back a lot of, like, to charity and different organizations, like whatever we can. Yeah. Even providing work for other people and all these fighters. Sometimes I think of that as charity because, it's like I'm helping these dudes and I don't know that I'm getting a return.
Yeah. No, absolutely, 100%. So yeah, shipping is shipping is one of the biggest. Shipping for us is other than next to the products, that's the highest. That's the next highest line item in terms of expenses that you're going to see is shipping, and it's going to get worse. And so, and I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from starting a business that ships products, but it's challenging. Logistically, it's challenging. From a customer service standpoint, it's challenging because, people are always like, where's my order? Where's my order? Where's my order? It's like, well, the tracking link says that it's, wherever, or it says it's delivered and I don't have it. And well, did you check with your neighbor? Well, no. And then you find out, you give them, there's just so many.
Yeah, no, 100%. That happens. Or they'll get a shipping notice and they didn't get it, but then the next day it arrives and you're like, just wait one day. It's probably going to be there. We have that weird scenario happen all too frequently. They literally got it. It's just mixed up in their mail. And, one thing that came across, you actually called my phone recently and you gave me a message from Tej Hanley that you guys were changing your packaging options, because I would always buy the kit and it would come with all the stuff prepackaged, and I have like 10 of those little scrubs.
Yeah, I don't use the scrub either, and I don't use it either. I'm like, screw this. No, well, that was one of the things. Yeah, we, and that's one of the hardest things to do in business, I think, is when you get something in your head, like this is the way it needs to be, and you put it out there, and your customers will tell you, no, this isn't the way that I want it, or this isn't the way that I like it. No, this is the way you need it. When you actually stop and you're like, okay, wait a second. If you're telling me something, maybe I'm not right. And so, with Tej Hanley for the first 4 years, it was like either you bought our system or you couldn't be a customer of ours. And so, so over the course of the past 2 years, I would say, we have been realizing that something needs to change in terms of the way that we allow people to buy whatever they want. And so, even though, yes, we want you to be on this system, and if you use this system the way that we tell you, it's going to work for you and you're going to have great results. If you don't use it that way, like what? I'm not going to allow you to buy my products. Like, that's crazy. And so we ended up, it's been a huge technological lift and a e-commerce, a fulfillment. There's so many different facets.
Oh, I bet. Trying to do, because we're trying to do what you guys just did, and I would like some insight on that. But sorry.
No, it's the technology. And so now what we do is basically, hey, come in. You can literally buy and build whatever system you want and get it at whatever frequency you want.
Nice.
The majority of our customers are still on the system, but what we found is that our average order value is going up. Like, people are staying longer. It's like, oh, so should have done this in the beginning, but you don't know what you don't know, and you try. But I guess the takeaway is you got to listen to your customers, because ultimately they're going to be the reason why your business is successful or not. And you can't be that ignorant as a business owner or an entrepreneur to think that you've got it all figured out. And another thing just to do is to realize is that, if you're waiting to try to make everything perfect and try and think through all the scenarios before you actually launch a product, you're never going to launch that product. You've got to get it out there, get it in people's hands, put it on their body, let them stick their nuts in the pouch, Robert. and then they're going to let them give you feedback, because what you launch with is not going to be the same product that is what you're going to be selling in the next 6 months, a year. You've got to get it into people's hands. You got to let them use it and test it and try it and interact with it, and then just listen to the feedback, get the feedback,
adjust.
and adjust, and that's it. That's how you grow a business. That's how you are going to keep up with the trends and the changes and what your customers want, because they ultimately are going to dictate your success or failure.
It's a team effort. Are you on Shopify with Tej?
Yeah, I'm on Shopify with everything. I love Shopify.
I love Shopify too. Shout out to Shopify. I started with them, and then I tried like 4 different Squarespace and Big Cartel and all these other ones, and I went back to Shopify.
Shopify's got it figured out, man.
Yeah.
And you know, they're a monster. But they're smart, and their system is bulletproof, and for the most part, there are issues, there are problems, but that's with anything. And I've been on Magento, which is a huge, like, I've had a Magento platform. I've had, all sorts of different, WooCommerce. I've done a bunch of different ones, and there's nothing that touches Shopify.
It's too easy.
Just easy. Exactly. It's easy. It's affordable. And it takes a lot of the headaches out of the equation that are there with many other platforms that I've ever used. So yeah, Shopify. Go Shopify. I also have stock.
We're gonna clip this out, and we're gonna
exactly. I have Shopify stock, so I'm not 100% unbiased either.
That's smart. Yeah, it's a great company. But we're trying to build a bundle package on our Shopify platform, and it's been somewhat challenging.
Yeah. There are limitations with Shopify, in terms of subscriptions. There's a lot of different plugin options, for subscriptions. There's a company called Recharge that helps with subscriptions. You've got, but yeah, the custom building aspect is challenging, and we've had to do a lot of technological, initiatives in order to sort of get that figured out, because
we've been working on that for like 6 months.
It's hard.
Okay.
Native Shopify is not the most like function. Like, there's a lot of functionality, but it's also kind of like one dimensional in terms of, you go to the store, you buy a product, you add it to a cart, and you check out. Like, that's Shopify. Now, in terms of like upselling and cross-selling, there are different plugins and things of that nature that you can get that are incredibly helpful. Something else that we recently installed at Pete and Pedro is actually a coupon blocker. One of the problems with Honey and the Chase, I believe, shopping app, is that it gets really hard with these platforms. If you've got it installed in your browser, it's testing and trying all these different codes. And so if you've got a bunch of codes out there, you're giving away free money, because you're giving, people are getting codes that never ever had a code or knew about the code.
Exactly.
And then the other problem is that it makes attribution to advertising harder, right? So if you're doing 3 campaigns with 3 different people, and they each have their own code, maybe one code will get picked up in the Honey or the shopping, sort of discount deal, like coupon sites, and it'll attribute them all to him. And so what we figured out, we actually have been playing around and testing this one at Pete and Pedro. I saved $6,000 last month of discounts that I didn't need to give away.
Nice.
Yeah. And so there's entrepreneurial, ingenuity that is trying to stop some of these things that, at first you're like, ooh, cool shopping app. Well, if you own a store, you don't want those coupon sites, because, you're giving away free money on it.
Yeah. And it just throws off the numbers. Like you said, like we had one code come up, and I was like, we haven't run an ad with this guy in like 6 months. Like, why is this code running so heavy right now?
100%.
And then you check Honey, and it pops up. So I love it. Code blocker, Recharge, getting a lot of valuable information out there, you guys. And I would like potentially the name of the person that helped you build that bundler, and we can do that like maybe after the fact, or have them email me, because we like straight up been working on it for like 6 months. And that's one of the things that people want. They want to like build a pack and be able to pick and choose, and then as they buy more, maybe like little discounts accrue. And that's kind of, so we're trying to provide the best service for our customers always, and as you are. And
absolutely.
I really appreciate you coming on here.
Robert, it was fun, man. It was totally fun. This is awesome. I can talk business all day, every day. Yeah. That's what I love. I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, yes, I do YouTube, but what I am is an entrepreneur at heart and at soul. And business is amazing. Entrepreneurship is incredible, but it's hard as fuck. And you just got to be ready. And not everybody is supposed to be an entrepreneur. And there's nothing wrong with getting a good job. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's one of the downsides to, I think, this whole like hustle culture, social media thing, is that everybody thinks they need to be an entrepreneur, when the truth is they aren't built for it. Because in order to be, in order to do this, nothing's easy, and it's going to take a lot of sleepless nights. It's going to take worrying. It's going to take, you having to, give up a lot of things in order to, realize success. And it's not for everybody. And there's nothing wrong with a great job, and there are many times that, my wife, she works for a company, and I'm like, man, I've never been paid for a day off in my life. Like, how does that work? And you can't shut it off. And people are like, oh, well, when do you turn it off? It's like, when you own a business, you never turn it off. You might not be physically like sending emails and looking at the data, but you're never not thinking about it. You're never not checking you're on vacation at the beach and you're looking to see what you got. At least that's the way I am. Because, I mean, you don't shut it off. You don't, because it's your baby. It's something that you've built. And when you start to see it sort of thrive and actually work, you're like, fuck, I'm not letting this bitch go. I'm going to continue to work as hard as I need to keep it going. And so
I love that.
It's hard.
I love that, but I don't like. It would be nice maybe to have a 9 to 5. Not, I don't want it.
Some days
to get off, to have that. Okay, I'm off work now. Let's party or whatever.
Yeah,
But
some days it sounds like a good thing. But if you are somebody that wants to be an entrepreneur, there's nothing more rewarding or fulfilling. And so, I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't do it, but it's, just
be ready.
Just be ready. It's hard. It's war, and you're competing with, with everybody else, and everybody's competing for the same dollars. So just be ready that, but Shopify is a great resource.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank
Robert,
you so much.
You're a rock star. Shoot me an email with anything you need, and I'll connect you with my guys and see if they can help you, man.
I love it. I appreciate the camaraderie, all the business owners. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Come back next time. We're going to get Brandon Marino next week, his brother.
Nice. Yeah, my cousin.
And a lot more great conversations and learning to come. So subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll see you next time. Peace.